Hello everyone, welcome back to Xylem, welcome back to the world of English. My name is Nasser Faruddin, Faculty of English. I'll be helping you cover your entire syllabus for the upcoming English examination, and this is a series of videos and this is actually the part 3 of that series. If you haven't watched part 1 and 2, please check the channel. It is available there in the video session, and let's begin. In this video, we will be discussing two important chapters from our core textbook Flamingo, which are the rat trap and going places. Let's begin with the rat trap. The rat trap, the title itself is very interesting, and before we are discussing the chapter in detail, analyzing the chapter in depth, let's have a look at the author of the story, the rat trap, which is Selma Lagerlöf. Selma Lagerlöf is a popular writer, famous writer from the Scandinavian country Sweden, right? So Selma Lagerlöf is a Swedish writer. She was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1909, and the significance of that year 1909 is she was the first woman to receive a Nobel Prize for Literature in the history. And what about her writing style? She writes about human kindness, morality, and Swedish rural life, often with simple yet deep messages. So this is the style of her writing. I hope you have understood, right? Yes. Now, let's analyze what is the setting of the story, The Rat Trap. The story is set in rural Sweden, not urban Sweden, but rural Sweden, especially around Ramsjö Ironworks in December. The time referred, mentioned in the story is in and around December, okay, the month of Christmas. The cold, lonely December forest, cottages and the ironworks create an atmosphere of poverty, danger and isolation, which reflects the struggles of the protagonist. The struggles of the protagonist. What do you mean by who is a protagonist in a story? A protagonist is a central character in a story. Okay, you might be confused. You might be confused with reading the setting of the story, but for the time being, just keep in mind that it happens in Sweden, it happens in rural Sweden during the Christmas month, during December. Okay, that's enough for the time being. Moving on. Who are the major characters? Who are the significant characters in the story, The Rat Trap? The first one, the peddler. The peddler, a person who sells things from going places to places. Okay, he's a wanderer, he's a seller, and what is he selling? He's selling rat traps. The peddler, this is another name, Niels Olof, that we will understand in a later part of the story, but for the time being, remember the central character of the story is a peddler. Okay, is a person who sells rat traps. He was poor, lonely, a bit greedy, but clever. He sells rat traps and survives through begging and petty theft. He survives through begging, selling rat traps. Occasionally he do petty theft. And we have Edla Wilmanson. Okay, Edla Wilmanson is again another important character. She was kind-hearted. She was a kind-hearted daughter of the Iron Master, compassionate and gentle. Okay, remember, Edla was compassionate, Edla was kind, Edla was gentle towards the peddler. And we have, for sure, Iron Master, owner of Ramsjö Ironworks, hospitable but initially strict. He is a very hospitable person. And the old crofter lives alone, generous and trusting. Okay, again, I'm just introducing the name of the characters so that we will understand it thoroughly later when I'm discussing the story in detail. Okay, so just now get an idea that we have four important characters, and these are the characters. Okay, that's enough. Then, moving on. We're going to have a detailed synopsis of the chapter, not just a simple one, a detailed one, but I had made sure that this is described in very simple language. Okay, right. Introduction of the peddler. The story begins with a vagabond peddler who sells small wire rat traps. Okay, his life is difficult. Clothes in racks. Okay, he's wearing rack clothes. Rack means old torn clothes. He was hungry always, and he sometimes steals or begs. Sometimes he steals, sometimes he begs. While wandering, he reflects on life and thinks the world is a rat trap. Okay, so in order to comfort himself, in order to console himself, in order to comfort himself, he started believing in an idea. He started believing the peddler. I mean, again, who is a peddler? A peddler is a person who goes from place to place selling small, insignificant items. That's a peddler. So this peddler, he's in complete poverty, and he started believing a philosophy. He started formulating and believing in a philosophy. And what was that philosophy? The world is a rat trap. Okay, he's selling rat traps, but now he believes that the whole world itself is a rat trap. Right? How come? Let's see. Just like a rat trap lures or attracts rats with cheese, the world offers comfort, wealth, and food as a bait. So the world attracts people to the trap by giving them comfort, wealth, and food as bait. People who get tempted by it are caught in trouble. The people who are tempted by, attracted by comfort, wealth, or food are trapped. Fortunately, the peddler is not trapped because he doesn't have enough food, shelter, or comfort. People who get tempted by it are caught in trouble. This thought makes him feel smart and important. This particular thought, who formulated the thought? The peddler himself, and he is finding comfort in that thought because he thinks the world has treated him badly. Because he thinks the world has treated him badly by not giving him food, clothes, shelter, or any basic necessities for that matter. Then, seeking shelter at the crofter's cottage, we have another important character who is a crofter. Okay, and one dark winter evening, the peddler sees a small grey cottage and asks for shelter for the night. Okay, so this is a very important episode in this story. Okay, and the old crofter who lives alone welcomes him, welcomes the peddler. Again, who is a crofter? A crofter is a small farmer who lives on a rented land. Okay, and lives by growing crops or keeping animals for living. That's a crofter, a small time farmer. So the old crofter who lives alone welcomes the peddler, gives porridge and tobacco, plays cards with him, this is the name of that card game, and shows him his 30 chrono from his cow's earnings. Now he is living depending on the cow's milk, and the innocent crofter shows the peddler the 30 chrono from his cow's earning. The peddler is grateful and polite, but greed creeps in. The peddler was so grateful for the crofter, but eventually what happens? Greed creeps in. Theft and trap. It's a long chapter, so I have arranged the chapter in appropriate subtitles. Theft and trap. The next day, instead of leaving honestly, he breaks a window and steals the 30 chrono. He stole the 30 chrono. At first he feels proud of his cleverness. At first he was super proud about his act, about his evil act. But after that he enters the forest to escape, but soon he realizes the forest is confusing and labyrinthine. Labyrinthine means it's a maze of confusing paths. He is lost and trapped, reflecting his own rat trap philosophy. Now he realizes that he is trapped in a rat trap. Okay, his own philosophy, the whole world is a rat trap, and now I am trapped in one among them. He feels despair and fear as darkness falls. And arrival at Ramsjo Ironworks. He hears hammering from the ironworks and approaches for warmth. The forge is noisy and glowing with the blacksmith busy at work. The forge is noisy. Okay, a number of sounds are coming from the Forge. Forge means where they prepare, iron. They barely notice him. The people working, the blacksmiths working in the, ironworks barely notice him, showing that the peddler's presence is common for vagabonds. It is very common. Vagabonds like him will come, inside the workshop for warmth. It's very common. And the Iron Master's mistaken identity. The Iron Master's mistaken identity. The Iron Master, the owner of the company, the owner of the workshop, the Iron Master on his night rounds notices him and mistakes him for his old army friend, Captain Niels Olof. This is why I wrote Niels Olof in the bracket of peddler. So this Iron Master mistaken him as his old army friend, Captain Niels Olof. The peddler does not correct him, thinking the peddler had to correct him, saying, I'm not who you are thinking. I'm not Captain Niels Olof. I'm just a peddler. I'm just a vagabond. But he doesn't do that. Why? Because he thought he may get hospitality or money. It may be a chance to hide safely for the night. So he considers it as an opportunity to escape from his problems, at least temporarily. The Iron Master invites him home for Christmas, but the peddler fears. Okay, and that's when the twist happens. The Iron Master happily invites a peddler, to his home for the Christmas evening, but he fears because he thought the stolen money might get him caught, because he's carrying that money right now, and he's reluctant to go with him. Okay, and Etla Wilmanson persuades him. The Iron Master sends his daughter Etla to persuade him, to convince him. She's kind, confident, and persuasive. Ensure he's safe. Okay, Etla talked with the peddler kindly, without showing any kind of authority. She ensures he's safe, and she explains he can leave anytime, and she urges him to spend Christmas Eve at the house. The peddler trusts her and follows her without resistance, without any reluctance, feeling a strange sense of safety. That was the first time peddler felt a sense of safety, in somebody. And transformation begins. At the manor, the peddler is washed, shaved, and given clean clothes. He was treated politely, gently for the first time, maybe for the first time in his life. He is offered warmth, good food, and rest, things he had never experienced regularly in his life. Even though he initially fears discovery or punishment, he feels honored and cared for. It is very important. A peddler, a person who was not given any basic necessities throughout his life, who was denied all his basic rights throughout his life, all of a sudden, he feels honored, he feels cared, he feels respected. Okay? And this marks the beginning of his moral transformation. This marks the beginning of his moral transformation. And the Iron Master realizes the truth. In daylight, the Iron Master realizes he is not his army friend. Okay? He realizes he was mistaken. He realized that he was mistaken. He is initially angry and considers calling the sheriff, calling the police. The peddler openly explains the rat trap idea. He says, the world is a rat trap. People get caught by temptation, and I'm also trapped in the rat trap by temptation. And that idea was kind of amusing for the Iron Master. The Iron Master laughs and forgives him for Christmas Eve, showing the story's theme of human kindness. The major theme, one of the major themes of the story is human kindness and consideration. And Etla's compassion and humanity. Etla convinces her father to let the peddler stay for Christmas. Okay? Even though he was, he's not his father's friend who worked in the army, Etla was not ready to send him off because they were the one who invited him for the Christmas Eve. So Etla thought it is important, or it is best to make him stay at least for the Christmas Eve. She understands he has no home and people constantly chase and mistrust him. Her compassion allows him to experience safety, food, and rest. So, the compassion from the part of Etla is very important in the story. He enjoys peaceful sleep, warmth and comfort, careful, respectful treatment from people around. And Iron Master and daughter learn about the theft. One Christmas morning, the Iron Master and Etla hear in church that a crafter near the ironworks has been robbed by a man selling Rattrap. So obviously, no, they understand that it was the same person, who is the guest. They realize the peddler they hosted might be the thief. Despite knowing this, they trust him and do not punish him. This shows their forgiveness, wisdom, and belief in human goodness, giving the peddler a chance to redeem himself from all his mistake, all his, bad behaviors, I would say. And the peddler's gratitude and redemption, the climax of the story is beautiful. Listen, the peddler's Christmas and redemption. The peddler's gratitude and redemption. Before leaving, the peddler returns 30 kronor he stole from the crafter. Until that point, he was keeping that money with him. He didn't spend that. And before leaving, the peddler returns the 30 kronor he stole from the crafter. He leaves it inside a small rat trap as a gift to Etla, along with a letter. In the letter, he signs himself as Captain von Stahl. Okay, so he's identifying himself as the captain whom they give respect and all those freedom or dignity, whatever it is. Thanking Etla for her kindness. He explains that he trusts generosity and respect helped him see the value of honesty and gave him a sense of dignity. This is very important. Underline the point. He explains that Etna's trust, Etna's generosity and respect helped him see the value of honesty and gave him a sense of dignity. This shows the peddler's moral change. Even a thief can reform through compassion and understanding. Even a thief can reform through compassion and understanding. Actually, this is a central idea of the story. And maybe we can arrange the themes of the story under proper subtitles like kindness and compassion. Etla's generosity and care transform the peddler and show the power of human goodness and redemption and moral change. The peddler reforms and returns the stolen money after experiencing trust and warmth from Etla and people. World as rat trap, deception and temptation. The peddler initially sees the world as a rat trap that tempts people with wealth and comfort, leading their downfall. And loneliness and isolation. The peddler's life of wandering, poverty and fear highlights human isolation and need for social connection with people. Forgiveness and trust. The Iron Master and Etla forgive and trust the peddler despite knowing about his theft, showing the value of mercy and faith in human nature. Power of human interaction. Genuine kindness and moral guidance can inspire honesty, courage and change in others. Okay, so this is the chapter Rat Trap. This is such a long chapter, but we have we have concluded the chapter. We have learned the chapter under 10 or 11 subtitles for a better comprehension. Okay, hope it was useful. Moving on to the next chapter, which is Going Places. And now about Going Places, a beautiful short story written by A.R. Barton from Zurich. Let's see about the author. A.R. Barton is a modern English writer living in Zurich, Switzerland. He writes about the inner life of adolescents, especially their fantasies, dreams, and emotional struggles. So A.R. Barton is a modern writer who often writes about the adolescent's fantasies, the adolescent's dreams, and the emotional struggles. Right? This story is no different. In this story, he shows, this is very important, how a young girl creates imaginary stories to escape from her boring and tough life. Okay? It's very simple. The theme is very simple and it's a very, I would say it's a universal theme. Listen, what is the setting of the story? The story happens in a poor working class neighborhood in England. Important places in the story. Everything happens in a poor working class, neighborhood in England, and a few important places in the story are Sophie's Street, where Sophie and Jancy, her friend, walk home from school, and Sophie's house, very small, crowded, steamy kitchen, dirty clothes piled in a corner, tired mother, father, sweaty from work. So this is not at all a very promising scenario. This is not at all a very promising, setting. Okay, we both understood. And Geoff's room. Okay, I will say who Geoff later, but for the time being, Geoff's room, where he repairs his motorcycle. This place shows that he is quite serious and working hard as a mechanic. And the arcade, a shopping area. Arcade is a shopping area with showrooms. Sophie says she met Danny Casey here. Danny Casey? Let's see. The canal, a quiet place with a solitary elm tree where Sophie waits for Cassie. This is an important symbol of her dream. So these are the settings, these are the places referred in the story. And let's see who are the major characters. You might have already understood the central character of the story is a young girl named Sophie. She's a schoolgirl who dreams too much. And she wants a glamorous life. She longs for a glamorous life. Thinks of being an actress, a manager, fashion designer. Her dreams keeps changing. Her family is poor, so her dreams are unrealistic. She imagines meeting the football star Danny Casey. So Danny Casey is a popular football star, a young popular football star. And we have Jancy. Who is Jancy? Sophie's close friend, practical and sensible, knows they will get low paying jobs. Even when Sophie is, daydreaming about high class, white collar, glamorous jobs, she was practical. Jancy was practical and she knows they will get low paying jobs. Wants Sophie to be sensible. And we have Geoff. Geoff is Sophie's older brother, quiet and serious, works as a motorcycle mechanic. Sophie admires him and imagines his life is exciting. That is Sophie's imagination again. He symbolizes the outside world which Sophie wants to join. Okay? And Sophie's father, a hardworking, rough, sweaty man who comes home exhausted every day, loves football and worships Danny Casey, the footballer, the young footballer, disbelieves Sophie's stories and wants her not to get into trouble. And we have Sophie's mother. She's an overworked, tired housewife, homemaker, managing the house, and she's a silent character in the story. Okay? And we have Derek. Derek is Sophie's younger brother, believes Sophie and is excited about everything she says. And we have Danny Casey, a young Irish football star, plays for United States. He's shy, gentle, talented. Sophie imagines meeting him. Sophie imagines meeting Danny Casey. And we'll have a detailed synopsis of the story. First, Sophie talks big dreams. Sophie and Jancy are walking home from school. Sophie says she will open a boutique after school. Jancy knows they are poor and says, we are going to the biscuit factory. We are going to a low paying job. We are going to a biscuit factory. But Sophie doesn't listen. She dreams, I'll be a manager, I'll be like Marie Kondo, a famous designer. I'll be an actress. I'll be a fashion designer. She keeps changing her dreams very quickly, and this shows Sophie loves fantasy more than reality. And next point, life at home. Life at Sophie's home. When Sophie reaches home, father is eating fast, face and arms dirty from work. His face and arms are dirty from work, and mother is tired and bent over the sink. Room is small and steamy. Washing is piled in the corner. So we can see a very impoverished situation in a home. Sophie feels sad. She wants to escape from this life, and her dreams become stronger because of the harsh realities in her life. And Sophie and Geoff. She goes to Geoff's room, her elder brother. He's repairing his motorcycle. He speaks very little. Sophie imagines he rides to exciting places. Geoff rides to exciting places. He meets interesting people. She wants to now go with him. She dreams of riding behind him in a yellow dress with people clapping for them. This shows her longing to escape the reality, her wish to escape this harsh reality in her home. And the big lie, meeting Danny Casey. She's lying. What is she lying? Sophie tells Geoff, I met Danny Casey in the arcade. Geoff is surprised and asks for details. Sophie tells a full story, a made-up story, a cooked-up story. She was looking at clothes in a store window. Danny Casey stood beside her. She talked to him. She asked for an autograph. Since she doesn't have a pen, she couldn't get that. He said he would meet her next week. So she made up a whole story. Geoff does not fully believe her. The father completely rejects her story. Football match. Sophie, her father, and Derek go to watch United's match. Danny Casey scores a beautiful goal. Sophie feels proud as if she knows him personally. Jancy finds out the lie. Jancy tells Sophie that Geoff told Frank is Geoff's friend, about Danny Casey, about the story Sophie said about Danny Casey. Sophie became angry because her lie is about to reveal. Because Jancy is nosy, she will spread the news. Her father will be angry. She did not want anyone to know. But Jancy does not know about the meeting next week. Okay, so she's somewhat safe now. Sophie relaxes. Again, the meeting next week is a made-up story. Sophie relaxes. Geoff didn't reveal everything. Sophie waits for Cassie at the canal. At night, Sophie walks to the canal. She sits on the bench under the elm tree, imagines Casey walking towards her, imagines talking to him, imagines him smiling with his green, beautiful eyes. But he does not come, that's for sure. She slowly realizes he was never going to come. The meeting was her imagination, and she will have to face her father and Geoff. She feels sadness and disappointment. Sophie keeps fantasizing, irrespective of all this harsh truth. She keeps fantasizing. On her way home, she imagines the first meeting. Again, his green eyes, shy smiles, freckled, soft voice. She imagines standing where he stood. She imagines the crowd cheering for him. The story ends with Sophie living her dreams, not in reality. So that's how the story ends. And we have a couple of themes that we already know, which are fantasy versus reality, hero worship, adolescence imagination, social class and limitation, escapism, and disappointment and sadness. Right. So we are going to wind up this session, and check the description box for a chapter test. I have prepared a chapter test based on the 2 chapters we have learned in this video. So do check the comment box, and do join the WhatsApp community to avail free handwritten notes. So thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next class. Bye.